king of Thebes and his two sons, the young princes, AHMOSES and his brother AHMOS. The fate not only of their capital Thebes, but Egypt itself, lay in their hands.
Essentially, it was a... So really, AHMOSES and AHMOSES had become minor princes. And there was a feeling that Egypt, as it had been known for the past 1,500 years, could cease to exist.
AHMOS and AHMOSES' hatred of the Hyksos was personal. Their father tried to rebel against the invaders. He paid a terrible price. 3,500 years later, his corpse still bears witness to his brutal slaughter at the hands of the enemy.
The face is grisly, partly because it wasn't well preserved, and there are many, many axe marks all over the head. It must have been a Hyksos struggle, and it must have been fairly bloody.
With his father dead, his land divided, AHMOS was determined to defeat the Hyksos. His actual words have survived, carved on this large stone, a stela. AHMOS bluntly states his intention to destroy the enemies to the north and south of Egypt.
What power can I claim to have when I'm stuck between an Asiatic and a Nubian? Each of them has a piece of Egypt too, and shares the land with me. My aim is to liberate Egypt and crush the Asiatics.
But AHMOS could not fight alone. He had to get his people behind him first. And as the stela records, most Thebans did not object to living in a divided Egypt. On a remote desert road, far from Thebes, Hyksos messengers raced south on a secret mission.
Hyksos messengers who were carrying this letter, which must have been a rolled up piece of papyrus with a mud seal on it. And they were going through the desert, probably at high speeds. And AHMOSES' spies must have intercepted these messengers.
AHMOSES' men had captured a messenger from the Hyksos king. The letter he was carrying was addressed to Egypt's other enemy, the king of Nubia. It was an invitation to unite and conquer what was left of Egypt.
Come north. There is no need to worry. AHMOSES is busy with me here. We'll divide the towns of Egypt between us, and Nubia will rejoice.
I'm on this land, I trouble no one.
AHMOS knew it was time to fight.
The Hyksos were certainly
My desire is to make no
They come
problem
from
with
the
no
area of the
one.
land where the towns are fortified towns, where the weapons of war are, if anything, more advanced than the weapons of the Egyptians. These are fighting people.
Non-interference, non-political. No matter what you do, I see I'm blind and here and there. I'm an humble African. Passing through Babylon, I'm a humble African. Trouble no one, say I'm an humble African. These little
right here.
hands
Now,
and simple
as
fingers
I
that
mentioned
I have.
before, the Asiatics who came across the Sinai. So here we see the earliest recording of these people who came in and settled with us for a while, today built in numbers, and then eventually attacking Egypt. This is again from Khnumhotep's tomb from the 12th dynastic period, right during the time of Amenhotep III. Here again, Manethos talks about, now you can see the Hyksos who came into Egypt. And Manethos said, unexpectedly from the region of the east came men of unknown race. Confident of the victory, they marched against our land. By force, they took it easy without a single battle. Having overpowered our rulers, they burned our cities without compassion and destroyed the temple. All the people were treated with great cruelty, for they slew some and carried off the wives and children of others into slavery. Doesn't that sound like a familiar account? This period is documented around 1650 or 1750, right around the same time of Abraham. Now, take a good look at the pictures that I showed earlier too. These were the Hyksos that you see right here. These were the invaders, just as you see them carved in stone right here. These are the people who came out of the Sinai. Some say from Mitanni, some say they were Horians. These are the Temerians who were indigenous to the Nile Valley, as well as the Ta-Nehisian brothers who were further up in the southern part of Egypt, or Kemet, ancient Ethiopia as some would call it. These were the Tamahu people who invaded from Libya from the west. They attacked Egypt after the 6th dynastic period. Now, it was this brother that we showed again, AHMOSES I, who finally expelled them out of our land. Now I'm showing this in reference with the temple, how our ancestors, you're witnessing, recording these people who came into our land, who invaded until AHMOSES I finally expelled them. We want to give you documented evidence to show you that we were at war with these people who invaded our land. We did not have anyone enslaved, but in fact the Hyksos enslaved us for 200 years. If we deal with the 21st dynasty, 22nd dynasty, 23rd dynasty, these were all Asiatic. Shishak, that Badawi will show us in a little while, he was also of Asiatic origin. So again, indigenous African Kemetic people were not even on the throne then. This is why this is so important to understand this in the Bible, because by looking at the Bible in America and the Western world, they look at this as all being part of Egypt, not saying that we were enslaved ourselves by these Asiatic people. And the same people who are ruling us today, who are exploiting us out of our minds, are the same people who invaded our land long ago, who came in even during the time of the 12th dynastic period, right after Amenemhet. And we called them the troglodytes who came out of the desert. How can we dispute this documented evidence, documented information? But the only way we're going to get this story right, we're going to have to start writing our own holy text, because if everybody else have had their story and revised the Bible, then why can't we, the original writers of the book, bring it back to its African origin? Now right here on these temples here, now you can see documented where we tied them up, roped them, and forced them out of our land. These are the people that we've always had problems with. The problem is we don't understand a historical war. It's a historical war with these people. And European Ashkenazi European Jews know this. We're the people who don't know it. It's an ancient historical war from the time we've had contact with them. So we're coming back here and hearing the words of our ancestors and those who knew what happened, the story against African people. So you're coming back for an eyewitness account, not for spiritual enslavement, but for spiritual freedom, for the emancipation of our souls, for the resurrection of African people.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
These are the people who enslaved our people. These people set up in an area of Kemet, in Lower Kemet, called Avaris, took over, and were enslaving the Africans for over 200 years until Second Enrei of the 17th dynasty. And it is he who waged war on the battlefield, and his life was lost on the battlefield. And it was his son, Thutmose, who continued the battle until his son, Ahmose, who opened up the 18th dynasty. This is a real person, brothers and sisters, who said never again. He was the liberator, the emancipator, who kicked these Hyksos out of our land. This is the real historical account that we've got to start teaching our people, brothers and sisters. So they took from this African right here, his name Ahmose, and made a Moses. This is the only account that we expelled a large group of people out of our land, this African right here, who opened up the 18th dynasty known as the Golden Age. This is the historical account, brothers and sisters.
The best way to understand what's really going on in the world today is to journey back in time and dig up the ancient secrets of the past. Those ancient secrets have been hidden by the ruling class beneath the shifting sands of Egypt for more than 4,000 years. Historian travel guides like Josephus, Herodotus, and Manetho, as well as writers like David Rohl, Ralph Ellis, and Niels Peter Lemke, provide flashlights into the past. The earliest remains of human life on Earth were discovered in Africa. The ancient Egyptians kept detailed records of their culture and history, in tombs, in temples, and on pottery, using pictures and writings called hieroglyphics.